May 1944. A quiet village in northern France, just months before D-Day. Dawn breaks over cobblestone streets, mist curling in the corners of shuttered windows. The scent of wet earth and wood smoke mixes with the metallic tang of ammunition stored in makeshift depots. Horses clatter over rutted streets, soldiers march past with rifles at the ready. From the shadows of a half-collapsed barn, a young girl, barely 14, watches. Her bicycle rests at her side, wheels glistening with dew. The streets are deceptively calm. In the distance, a train whistles, a supply train heading east, laden with German officers and equipment. Every footstep echoes unnaturally, every shuttered door holds a secret. The girl's eyes follow the soldiers, noting their routines, the paths they take, the moments they let their guard down. She is part of the village now, invisible yet acutely aware. By this time in the war, the Nazi occupation has hardened. Entire communities live under curfews, rationing, and fear. German officers patrol, barking orders in clipped commands, inspecting homes and businesses, suspicious of strangers. Resistance groups operate in secret, gathering intelligence and sabotaging rail lines. Yet the girl's youth and innocence make her invisible in ways adults cannot afford to be. People underestimate her, and that is precisely the advantage she will wield. Northern France, 1944, is a study in contrasts. Rolling fields of wheat and corn conceal hidden fortifications. Quiet lanes carry the occasional rumble of armored vehicles, their tracks leaving deep grooves in the mud. The air carries whispers of tension, resistance fighters planning their next moves, local informants reporting to German officers, children running errands with hidden messages tucked into baskets. Every step is watched, every gesture scrutinized. And amid all this, a single teenager becomes a quiet witness to the machinery of war. The Germans rely on routine and predictability. Soldiers, confident in their training and numbers, patrol familiar streets, check trains, and inspect warehouses. They rarely expect a threat from a small girl pedaling her bicycle, day after day. And yet, this mundane object, her bicycle, is about to become a tool of profound disruption. Her preparation is meticulous, born from necessity and courage. She observes the officers' schedules. She memorized the sequence of guards, the timing of supply shipments, and the weaknesses in German routines. She notes the placement of ammunition crates, the paths taken by officers as they step from trains to command posts. Every detail matters. In a war defined by logistics, intelligence, and timing, she becomes an observer and strategist without realizing she is playing a role larger than herself. The village itself is a microcosm of occupied France. Civilians live in constant tension, sharing whispered warnings with neighbors. Children are enlisted as couriers, women hide radio transmitters, and farmers conceal weapons under hay bales. German soldiers dominate the streets, yet the undercurrent of resistance pulses through the town like electricity beneath a calm river. Her movements are measured and deliberate. She rides her bicycle along the same path daily, deliveries for her family, errands for neighbors, trips to fetch water or bread. The Germans see a young girl, carrying baskets or waving politely. They note her presence but see nothing threatening. They underestimate the role that observation, intelligence, and courage can play, even in the hands of a teenager. Meanwhile, the broader context of 1944 shapes every decision. Allied forces are preparing for Operation Overlord. Intelligence networks in France are feeding critical information to London. Sabotage operations against German supply lines are increasing, with resistance cells coordinating with Allied planners. Every day, the stakes rise. Every day, the occupation becomes more dangerous. For one girl on a bicycle, it is a time when courage, timing, and opportunity converge, and when small actions can ripple into history. The bicycle itself is unremarkable: steel frame, worn tires, simple brakes. Yet in her hands, it becomes a conduit of intelligence and, ultimately, action. It allows her to move quickly, blend with the civilian population, and remain unseen even as she monitors German officers. She rides past checkpoints and barracks, through narrow alleys and open squares, carrying observations that could one day save lives, or endanger them. By now, she has learned one of war's harshest lessons. Visibility is a weapon, but so is invisibility. Being underestimated by the enemy allows her to gather information without being caught. German officers see a harmless child, unaware that each day her memory stores critical details, patterns, routines, weaknesses. What adults often forget is that war is fought not only with guns and bombs but with observation, intelligence, and daring acts that defy expectations. She witnesses officers laugh and argue. She sees them become frustrated over delayed shipments or minor disruptions in the train schedule. Each human moment offers insight into discipline, morale, and vulnerability. She notes who reacts quickly under stress, who hesitates, and who leaves openings in security. Every detail is catalogued, stored for a day when it might become decisive. And then there is the looming danger. The slightest mistake could end her life. A single German noticing something unusual, an extra basket, a slight pause, a glance too long, could unravel her carefully built routine. She has witnessed arrests in the village, interrogations, disappearances. The consequences of miscalculation are immediate and deadly. Yet she continues, aware of the stakes but propelled by courage and necessity. By late May, the village feels different. Rumors of Allied landings circulate. German officers grow tense, their patrols more frequent. Supply trains carry not just officers but also critical intelligence and munitions. The teenager's observations are more valuable than ever. Each trip on her bicycle is no longer routine. It is reconnaissance, a silent challenge to the occupying force. The juxtaposition of innocence and danger is stark. On one side, a young girl pedals through the morning mist, baskets in hand, small in stature and appearance. On the other side, heavily armed officers march in rigid formations, their boots clanking on cobblestones, rifles ready, expectations unchallenged. The collision of these two realities, a child and a powerful occupying force, sets the stage for an extraordinary sequence of events that will ripple far beyond this small village. Her story is a reminder that war is not only fought in grand battles or on distant fronts. It is fought in quiet streets, in observation, in courage that goes unnoticed until the moment it becomes decisive. A bicycle, in her hands, becomes a symbol of ingenuity, resilience, and the unexpected ways ordinary people can shape history. And yet, all of this is just the beginning. For months, she has observed, memorized, and prepared. The Allies approach, the occupation grows restless, and German officers continue their routines, unaware of the young observer among them. One day, timed, daring, and decisive, her routine will intersect with opportunity. And when that day arrives, the innocent bicycle will no longer be a symbol of childhood but a silent instrument of consequence that will shock even the enemy. The stage is set. The danger is immediate. The stakes are monumental. And the question lingers, how can a teenager, armed with nothing but observation, courage, and an unassuming bicycle, confront one of the most powerful military machines in history? June 1944. The village is alive with tension. Morning fog curls around the half-ruined walls, carrying the faint smoke of fires from distant farms. The air smells of damp soil and burning coal, mingled with the metallic tang of weapons stored in barns. On narrow streets, German officers march, their boots scraping against cobblestones, rifles slung over shoulders. Every movement is rehearsed, every glance alert. The teenager mounts a bicycle, wheels creaking slightly, the tires carrying her silently over muddy tracks. She blends with the other villagers carrying baskets, fetching water, or tending livestock. To anyone watching, she is just a child going about her morning errands. But she is far from ordinary. Each day, she memorized the officers' routines, which soldiers carry sidearms, who commands the small garrison, the exact timing of the morning train loaded with officers and supplies. Each detail is stored, catalogued, and ready. Her observations are not idle. In the months before the Allied landings, the French resistance has grown increasingly bold. Sabotage operations against German supply lines and trains are escalating, yet caution is paramount. A single misstep could destroy an entire network. Villagers whisper about covert attacks and strange disappearances, while the occupying forces remain suspicious but unaware of the invisible intelligence flowing past their eyes every day on the back of a bicycle. The girl has learned the critical lesson of wartime intelligence. The smallest detail can become decisive. One officer's momentary distraction, one unlocked gate, one missed inspection. These tiny vulnerabilities, imperceptible to most, are windows of opportunity. And she is learning to spot them. One morning, as she rides past the train station, she notices something unusual. A group of officers are clustering near a supply car, laughing and smoking. Normally, their attention would be on the tracks, on the approaching train, or on the inspection schedule. But this morning, one officer fiddles with a briefcase, dropping papers that flutter across the platform. Others laugh, distracted, unaware of the gap forming in their attention. The girl stops briefly, pretending to tie her shoelace. Her eyes scan the platform, memorizing which officer carries the keys to the ammunition car, which soldiers are responsible for guarding the perimeter. She notes the patterns, the blind spots, the ways they unconsciously leave themselves exposed. To a German officer, this is nothing, but to her, it is preparation. Days pass, each ride reinforcing her understanding of the officer's behavior. She learns how they react under stress, how they interact, and, most importantly, where their weaknesses lie. Each observation builds the map she will need for the moment of action. In this environment, *** information is a weapon ***, and she wields it with precision. Meanwhile, German soldiers grow restless. Rumors of Allied landings are spreading, and the garrison is jittery. Officers tighten routines, conduct more frequent inspections, and increase patrols. The village feels like a pressure cooker, ready to explode at the slightest spark. Every errand the girl runs becomes a calculated risk. A glance too long, a misstep, a bicycle wheel catching on cobblestones could attract attention and cost her life. Yet she rides with calm determination, balancing fear and courage, knowing that the smallest act of observation could one day become decisive. The bicycle, simple and unassuming, has become her constant companion. Its wheels carry her quickly along narrow lanes, past barracks, and into hidden alleys. The basket she carries is ordinary: bread, water, small packages, but she has also hidden notes, instructions, and tiny tools within it. Each ride is a blend of utility and strategy, training her to move silently while gathering intelligence. One evening, she witnesses a critical moment. A train carrying high-ranking officers arrives, late in the afternoon. Guards are tired, patterns predictable, and discipline slightly slackened after a day of routine. The girl notes the position of each officer, the guards' rotations, and the timing of the train's departure. She memorizes which car contains the officer's personal effects and which soldiers carry ammunition. Every detail is critical. One day, this knowledge could save lives or tip the balance of a sabotage operation. Her observations are validated weeks later when resistance fighters intercept a supply train. Using insights from her notes, they are able to navigate around guards, avoid patrols, and sabotage the train without casualties among civilians. The girl's role is invisible, yet her intelligence has become invaluable. She is learning that *** war is not only fought with guns, it is fought with timing, knowledge, and courage. Her success does not go unnoticed for long. The Germans, increasingly suspicious, begin to monitor the streets more closely. Officers scrutinize children running errands, women carrying baskets, and anyone who seems out of place. Every ride becomes a calculated risk. The bicycle, once a symbol of normal childhood, is now a vehicle of danger and opportunity. As the days pass, tension builds. The Allies advance, liberation approaches, and German patrols become more aggressive. Yet the girl continues her silent work. Every glance she takes, every note she memorizes, and every path she rides contributes to a larger picture. She is training herself for a critical moment, when courage, observation, and opportunity will intersect in a way that will shock the occupying forces. The villagers whisper about her bravery in hushed tones. They do not understand the full scope of her actions but sense the boldness behind her calm demeanor. To them, she is a child surviving in extraordinary circumstances, but in reality, she is part of a web of intelligence, risk, and courage that is quietly undermining the Nazi garrison. And then, a day comes when preparation meets opportunity. The high-ranking officers' routines, memorized over months, align perfectly with the resistance's planned sabotage. The girl rides past them, unnoticed, carrying intelligence and timing critical to the operation. Her bicycle, silent and unassuming, becomes the linchpin of a daring plan, one that will leave Nazi officers bewildered and vulnerable. The tension is palpable. Every second counts. One wrong move, one glance from a guard, one misstep, and the plan could fail catastrophically. Yet she rides with confidence, every rotation of the wheel a calculated rhythm of courage. The officers remain oblivious, their routines making them predictable. The invisible hand of preparation has created the conditions for action. By the end of the day, the resistance's operation succeeds in a way that would have been impossible without her careful observations. Officers are caught off guard, supplies are sabotaged, and intelligence reaches Allied forces safely. The girl's contribution remains unseen by the Germans, but the impact is undeniable, and as night falls over the village, she rides home under the fading light, her heart racing with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. The bicycle, her constant companion, carries her silently through streets that witness courage, daring, and subtle acts of defiance. But the story is far from over. Months of careful observation and small acts of bravery have set the stage for a moment that will shock even seasoned soldiers, a moment when the innocent bicycle will no longer carry just a messenger or intelligence, but will play a direct and dramatic role in confronting Nazi officers in ways no one could have imagined. July 12, 1944. Midday. Holzheim Village. ***. The sun glints off puddles frozen overnight, reflecting the hard angles of German supply trucks parked along the narrow street. The air is thick with the scent of damp earth, oil, and the faint acrid tang of recently burned wood from a nearby barn. Every shuttered window seems to watch, every alley hums with quiet tension. And in the midst of it, a teenager pedals slowly, her bicycle wheels whispering against the cobblestones. Her basket carries the usual, bread, water, and notes, but today, it carries something more, timing, courage, and the culmination of months of careful observation. The village is unusually quiet. German officers are clustered near the depot, inspecting crates, counting inventory, their laughter low but tense. Guards pace predictably, rifles slung across shoulders, boots scraping in rhythmic monotony. Every second is a chance, an opening that must be seized perfectly, or disaster awaits. The girl's eyes scan each officer, memorizing gestures, noting who carries keys, who holds sidearms, and who leaves gaps in the perimeter. She knows the exact moment when the officers will be distracted. Then, it comes. A small explosion from a distant sabotage, part of the resistance network she has aided, draws the officers' attention. They move toward the source, shouting commands. Guards shift, leave posts momentarily unattended. In those brief seconds, the entire dynamic changes. This is the moment her months of careful observation converge with opportunity. She pedals toward the depot with purpose, a calm yet urgent rhythm. To the Germans, she is a child performing a simple errand, oblivious. But her mind calculates distances, timing, and angles with precision. Each pedal stroke brings her closer to the officers. Her hands grip the handlebars tightly. Sweat trickles down her temple, mingling with the chill of the morning air. The basket in front hides intelligence that could save lives, or, in the immediate chaos, become the pivot of a shocking confrontation. The officers continue their inspection, unaware of the small shadow approaching them. One leans over a crate, laughing at a minor mistake by a subordinate. Another fiddles with papers, distracted by the noise from the distant explosion. In those fleeting moments, the girl positions herself exactly where months of careful reconnaissance have told her she must be. Every detail lines up, timing, placement, distance. Then, in a sequence that lasts mere seconds, the unassuming bicycle becomes an instrument of disruption. She drops a small bundle from the basket, precisely where it will ignite confusion among the officers. A minor fire ignites, smoke curling in lazy plumes, drawing immediate attention. Officers scatter, shouting. In the chaos, her presence seems inconsequential, but the disruption is enough to immobilize the guards and disorient the officers. From the shadows, resistance fighters emerge. They move with precision, taking advantage of the confusion her timing created. German officers scramble, trying to maintain order, but their attention is fragmented. They fire into the air, shouting orders, but it is too late. The carefully constructed security grid has collapsed under the weight of a moment that began with the silent observation of a young girl. The bicycle rides through the chaos, carrying her safely as officers shout and scramble. She becomes invisible again in the smoke, the noise, and the fleeting panic. Guards attempt to intercept her, but she knows the alleys, the gaps, the silent paths through which no adult soldier has anticipated pursuit. Every pedal stroke reinforces the reality. Preparation, courage, and timing can overcome brute force. In the aftermath, the officers are disoriented, some injured, some shaken to the core. Supplies are disrupted, movements delayed, and critical intelligence reaches Allied hands safely. All of it, every ripple of impact, originated from the observation, daring, and precision of a single teenager on a bicycle. The Germans, trained for discipline and order, are undone not by superior numbers, but by unpredictability, ingenuity, and the courage of someone they underestimated completely. The villagers, watching from hidden corners, whisper in astonishment. They understand the significance, even if they cannot see the full scope of her contribution. She dismounts the bicycle, calm yet exhilarated, blending once more into the ordinary motions of life. To anyone observing superficially, she is just a girl returning from an errand. But history remembers what she did in those moments, a calculated disruption that turned opportunity into impact. This incident, small in the scale of the war but monumental in human courage, underscores a profound truth. Wars are shaped not only by tanks and bombs, but by observation, timing, and the bravery of those who act when others hesitate. One teenager, armed only with her intelligence, courage, and a simple bicycle, became a pivot point in a larger operation, demonstrating the extraordinary potential of ordinary individuals. Months later, when Allied forces liberated the region, her story spread quietly among resistance members and military historians. Reports noted a precise disruption of German officer movements, citing unknown but ingenious methods. For decades, her identity remained obscure, a secret hero whose courage was measured in timing, precision, and daring. The bicycle, once an emblem of childhood, became a symbol of ingenuity, resilience, and audacity. The village itself would later commemorate the bravery of ordinary civilians who acted under extraordinary pressure. Her role, emblematic of countless unrecorded acts of defiance, reminds us that the line between ordinary life and history can be crossed in moments of courage. As the sun sets over Holzheim, casting long shadows across cobblestone streets, the echoes of that July morning linger. The quiet streets bear witness to ingenuity, observation, and courage. And the bicycle, once a simple vehicle, carries with it the story of a young girl who defied death, disrupted one of the most disciplined forces of the era, and left an indelible mark on history. This story, of timing, courage, and audacity, is not only about a single act of heroism. It is about the countless moments in World War II when ordinary people, armed with intelligence and bravery, reshaped events in ways that would never appear on official records. It reminds us that history is shaped not only by generals and armies, but by those who act when opportunity and courage intersect. In the end, we are left with a reflection. Bravery does not always come with weapons or authority. Sometimes, it comes with observation, timing, and the courage to act. A girl, a bicycle, and the courage to seize a moment. These were enough to defy expectations, disrupt enemy plans, and remind the world that even the smallest actors can change the course of history.